Welcome. Did you know that your unique brand can lead to higher lead conversions? How much higher? What if I told you you could do lead conversions from 60 to 70% higher than you're getting right now? What if I told you you could even get it to 90% like I have? I am Christina Kokologinnakis, and I am a top producing real estate agent. I'm in the top 5% in Silicon Valley and the top 1% in the United States for income earned. I'm an international trainer and speaker, and I have created my own digital course, Agent Brand Academy, which teaches real estate agents about branding and why it's so important to build one. One of my favorite successes is that I'm a mom of four little ones. So let's get into the discussion today about building a unique brand and why it's so important to have one. I have been in real estate for 8 years, going into my ninth year. I don't see many real estate agents branding themselves. I see them branding their brokerages, which is fine. However, as soon as you leave the brokerage or the brokerage has any problems, it's them, not you. And in order to stand out in today's world with so many real estate agents all over, you need to have your own unique brand. Now, wait, I'm not talking about colors. I'm not talking about fonts or headshots. That is not what I'm talking about. Those are very small elements of having a brand. What I am talking about is your unique brand, your strategic brand, what it is that makes you stand out from the rest of the world. And this is so important because when you show up one way and you're consistent in the way you show up and you are authentic to yourself and alignment to yourself, you find those people who are right for you, and that lead conversion is easy. It happens. And finding and building your brand is so important. So, what is a unique brand? I get this question all the time. First, I want you to stop for a second and think of your favorite brand, big company, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Lululemon, Starbucks, whatever it is. Just think for 1 minute about it. Why do you like it? Why do you want to shop there? Why do you want to eat the food or drink the food? What is it about that brand that makes it so enticing? Now, think if you built that same brand around yourself, where your clients or people you don't even know come across you and say, I want to work with them. I want that person. That is your brand. Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. It's how people see you in the world when you're not around. It is fascinating. I get people when I'm at events who are like, I follow you on social media. I watch everything you do. You're amazing. By the way, I have someone who wants to sell a home in San Jose. Will you help them? I don't know this person. I have no clue who they are. But all of a sudden, they're giving me referrals, or they're saying, hey, I want to connect with you. I really like what you do. Or I just hear they're following me and they're in my world. A brand is something that can stand on its own. It works 24/7 when you're sleeping. It continues to grow. And what a lot of real estate agents don't understand is that your brand builds trust. Your brand builds so much with people before you even meet them. And so if you are right now struggling with finding business and getting business to convert, so we're going to go in a little depth in a different video about leads and having too many leads. But if you feel like you're drowning in the black hole of leads and all you're doing is getting more leads and more leads, but then on the other side, you have no sales, this is where your brand connects leads and sales. It's the bridge across it. Because what happens is when you build that brand, how you're going to show up in the world, how people see you, they trust you, they're your community. All of a sudden, from day one when you start, by the way, all of a sudden, the trust is already there. They want to work with you. They want to be with you. They want to be around you. And so you'll start seeing that instead of having so many leads that you can't even go through the day and just relax, you're just doing leads and follow-up leads and running on appointments, trying to get someone to commit to you. Instead, what falls out is the ones that are really already committed to you, and you start working them, and then they sell. And you come back and you find the ones committed to you, want to work with you, and you sell. I talk a lot about finding your 4 to 5 committed leads who move forward in the process. You sell those. And as you sell one, you add one more. You sell one, you add one more. So I always hold about 4 active clients at a time. I call them clients because they're committed and they sign agreement. I have leads that come through, but I don't do hundreds of leads because I've built my brand and people see it. Another part of what a brand really is that when you're online, you have to be consistent. And here's a big one for agents. I follow a lot of different agents on social media. I get agents who will call me and say, hey, will you check things out for me and like see my brand? If you're one way in the world, like internet world, social media and everything, but you're different when you show up to your clients, you have a disconnect. That's not a brand. You can't look one way online and show up a different way. So it's really important to be authentic, to be yourself, right? If you're really bubbly and you're really happy, be that. If you really believe in a certain things and that's who you are and you talk about it, that's who you are. Talk about it. Be okay with it. Because here's what happens. When you're yourself, you speak to people who are also like you. And what happens is when you speak to those people, it resonates and they want to work with you, right? If you go to somebody and you're talking a certain way and they're like, what are you doing? Like, I can't follow this. This is weird. They're not going to want to work with you. And by the way, that's okay. You want to find people who resonate with you and want to work with you. That's really important. The last thing about what a brand really does is it creates the pathways in a potential client's brain about you. So here's a really cool story. So for my real estate brand, I have done so much branding on it. And by the way, you don't have to do it through social media. I did not build mine through social media. I've done it so many different ways. And here's the cool thing. I get calls from people who are like, oh, I just saw your listing. Congratulations on da-da-da-da street. And then I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, I don't have a listing on that street. What happens is I have ingrained who I am and my brand so much in their minds that now when they're out and about, they think of me. And so they saw somebody, not even my brokerage. It was like not even my colors. And they saw a name that started with a CHR and the last name had a KO. And they just assumed it was mine and called me about it. And I was like, that's not my listing. I had told them it's not mine, but I love that they're thinking about me. So when you're building a brand, it's going to set you apart. People are going to think of you. People are going to want to be around you and they're going to want to build that community. And that is where the lead conversions really happen. So we talked already a little bit about how the brand really builds that lead conversion, but what is like the nitty gritties? Why does it do it? First, it builds trust. This is one of the biggest elements that I find real estate agents struggle with. They walk into an appointment, and yes, we are taught, if you're out there with the trainings as well, you're probably taught this as well. Mimic their style, use their same words, let them feel comfortable, but this is a little different. They are selling something in their world, no matter where you are selling, if it's a $100,000 home to a $5 million home, to that seller or to that buyer who's buying that, that's a lot of money for them. They have a lot of fear. They are worried. And if you don't ever ask clients about their concerns, you should. It's good to hear it because you can put them at ease. They want to trust you. They are hoping that you are going to do a good job, that you're going to either get them more money on the sale or help them maybe save some money or buy the right home. Whatever the situation is, they need to trust you. If you're not walking in and building that trust, if you're coming into these appointments with buyers or sellers and you're finding that they're not moving forward with you, or they say, I love these phrases, well, I'll discuss with my husband, or we will discuss and get back to you, or you make some good points. Let me think about it for a little bit. They're not ready. They're not going to move forward with you, right? If someone's ready, they're going to move forward with you right now. They're going to sign it. They're going to say, we're good. Let's go. So you need to build the trust. When you have your personal brand, your unique brand, your strategic brand, however you want to call it, they already trust you. When I walk into appointments, I love it when they're like, you don't need to explain anything. We've looked you up. We've done our research. We love what you do. We want you to work with us. And I don't even have to go into pitch. I don't even pitch them. I just have real conversations about their fears, concerns, different things. And at the end, they're always asking me, did you bring the paperwork to sign or are you going to send it to me? Because I always forget to ask, right? Because it's become so routine. That's what you want to get to. You want to get to the point where you walk in and they already know you. But as you start building your brand from day one, it starts as you start going out there, it builds. And it builds something else, by the way, confidence, right? I get this question all the time. I have trained over 1,000 agents now. And here's one of the biggest questions. I'm either going into a new listing appointment, which is a higher price I'm not comfortable with, or I haven't really done this area. I don't feel so confident that I could do this. I have these two, by the way. Even with all the success that I have, I still get a little like, I call it imposter syndrome, where you kind of tell yourself, I can't really do this, or this is going to be really hard. I remember when I broke into luxury, before I even broke into luxury, I reached out to so many agents asking them like how to break into luxury. What should I do? How do I do this? And at the end of the day, how did I do it? I just had to do it. I just had to go on my first appointment and I had to just have confidence that I will rock it, that I'm the best person for them. And when you have that confidence and you create that confidence inside, there's some mindset tricks you can do, by the way, for that. But once you have that confidence and you sit down, guess what? They feel it. They want to work with you because they feel that confidence. That is what's so important about it. And when you build your brand, if you kind of are struggling a little with your confidence, you can be like, I'm awesome. Like they can see my brand. They can see me online. Like they know I'm good because I'm showing them I'm good. So I know I'm good. And that's really important. But having that confidence when you walk into your appointments, automatically from day one, that's going to increase your lead conversion because they want someone confident. I remember when I first started in real estate, there was this really cocky agent that I worked with. I didn't like his personality. He was very abrupt. He thought he was the best of the best, but he moved so much business. And I asked him, I'm like, why do you walk around like that? Like I was always a sweet person. I was always like, oh, yes, of course. And I asked him why he was like that. And he said that he realized that when he walked in with a lot of personality types that are a D-type personality, they want very direct. They want someone who's very confident. And that kind of developed as his niche. And so that's who he was underneath, and he let it out. And he was just that cocky, confident person. And it made him really successful, right? But the confidence is what people want. So that's really important to make sure when you're going into appointments, when you're building that brand, build and have that confidence come with you. So we talked about confidence. It really, the next part of the branding and why it's so important is they cyber stalk you. People will cyber stalk you. I know it sounds really weird. I already shared with you a story of how people come up and tell me that they watch me. I still, after all this time, I'm just kind of like, it's a little creepy where people are like, I watch everything you do. And I have no clue who this person is. But in today's world, you have to have an internet presence. You have to be out there. I talk about how I did all of this without really having a social media, and you can do that, absolutely. But in today's age, you have to have stuff about you, because what's going to happen is even if it's a referral from a past client, these people in today's age, they want to make sure you're legit, that you're really good. And even if you haven't sold anything and you're a brand new agent, I have so many tips for brand new agents so they have that confidence that they can build that online presence that they need. So when people search, they look like the expert. Because when you're out there in the world, you can do stuff as simple as just writing a blog or doing some YouTube videos, whatever it is, doing some Instagram reels where you talk about your niche, where you talk about who you are and who you're serving. They see that, and when it resonates, they're ready to go. But I will tell you, there are many, many people out there who are going to cyber stalk you for a long time before they're ready to go. I remember I was talking with one of my clients. I never had any connection with him. He randomly just like called me out of the blue. And after we were in contract, I asked him the question. I was like, I'm really curious. You talked about how you found me online and you wanted to work with me. So I understand that. Can I ask you like how long? Like, did you kind of like look at me online? And he said a couple years. I watched you for a couple years. I wasn't ready, but I would see what you were doing. I would see different things about you. I had a lot of articles and magazines and different things done about me. And he was like, I read them and I knew you were the right person for me because that's what I needed. I needed someone like you. And I know I could trust you because I was watching you and what you were doing. And so that's really important to understand that you need to show up the same way online as you do when you meet them, but you have to create something online that starts branding you. And here's the cool thing about a brand. It starts from day one, but over time it can change. It's just like a niche. When you create your niche, you might pick a niche today where you say, I want to work with first-time home buyers. But in 2 years, you might be like, okay, I don't really want to work with first-time home buyers. I want to go ahead and move into buying and selling at the same time. Or I'm going to move into more luxury homes. Or I'm going to do new construction. Like, you could move and change. You don't have to say that this is what I'm going to do all the time. But as you niche down and you start doing this, as you create your brand and you start working it through, it becomes amazing. I talk a lot about in different videos, branding is like baking, right? The first time I make these like really crazy cookies that it's so funny because my kids are just like, whip them out. You make them so good. They're so easy. There are these butter cookies that my husband and my kids love. And I make they're homemade cookies and I make homemade frosting with them. When I first made the cookies so many years ago, they were okay. They weren't great. I followed the recipe, but they still didn't taste as well. Same with the frosting. But over time, I worked it a little different. I learned some tricks. I realized what worked or didn't work. The taste got better. I got feedback from family and friends of what I could do, what it might need, what would be better. So I started changing it and playing with it and doing better. Now when I make them, it's almost like just natural to me. I don't even think about it. I don't need a recipe. I know what to throw in. I know the taste immediately when I try it. And I'm like, okay, it needs this. It becomes second nature. And now it's so amazing that when I make them, they disappear in minutes. Like my whole family, friends ask for them. They go fast. They're wanted. They're desired. It's very much how your brand is. You're going to start with your brand and you're going to really sit there and try to figure out, who do I want to be? What do I want people to see? How do I want to show up in the world? These are really, really big questions, and that's okay. Here's what I want to encourage you. Pick what feels right now. There is no wrong. There is no wrong, right? Figure out what feels right at this moment. Don't worry about the future, because here's my favorite thing. You can have an understanding of the future, but the details will get laid out when you're ready to see them and hear them. So you can say, I want to make $1 million a year in real estate, but you don't need to know every step to get there now. What you need to know is, I want to make $1 million in real estate. I need a brand. I need clients. I need to close deals, right? There's different things that you have to do to get there, but you just got to start doing it. This is what is so important. I feel like so many real estate agents miss this. Trust me, I've been there, and sometimes I do it myself. We overcomplicate it. We try so hard to say, I need more information. I want to learn more. I want to study more. I'll listen to more podcasts. I'll do more things. What is the one element that's forgotten? Trying. Just trying it. Just do it. And here's the thing. We do the other stuff. We procrastinate because we're so afraid that we're going to fail. We're going to get it wrong. But I'm here to tell you, wrong is good. Wrong is where you want to be. Because when you mess up, guess what? You learn. And when you learn, you can make it a little better. And when you learn again, you can make it a little better. I remember when I first started in real estate, it was throwing spaghetti at the wall. I did not know what I was doing. I had a mentor. I was supposed to be in mentoring training, but of course I was like, I'm selling real estate. I don't have time. But I went out there and I tried everything. And yes, I sold a lot of homes my first year and I was rookie of the year, but that's because I failed every time. I pick myself up, try it again, pick myself up, try it again. So building a brand is absolutely amazing. It's going to get you to where you want because a brand builds over time. So as you go, it gets better and better. While you sleep, it's still building and growing. But at the end of the day, if you don't start it and you don't take the first steps and get into momentum, it doesn't work. And that's so important to understand. So once you build your brand, once you start with the first steps, stay in motion, stay in momentum. Because here's one of the things a lot of people forget. They try it for a little bit. When I say a little bit, a few months, and they say, I'm not seeing results. I'm not seeing what I want to see. There's two things happening. Okay. One is your expectation of what you should be seeing is probably too high. So we have to just pull that down a little. I'm not saying your goals because I'm very big on having big goals, but I'll do this a lot of times. I'll say, oh, when I do this big event, I expect that I'm going to have hundreds of people there. But if nobody in that area has heard of me, how am I going to get hundreds of people? And so a lot of times I think really big, but sometimes I'd be more realistic on certain elements. So maybe if you're like after a couple months of doing something, you're not seeing success, come down a little and say, okay, but you know what? I started, I already had success. I did it. I put the first steps out there. The next thing is being consistent. This is where the top real estate agents really, really shine. And with your brand, you need consistency. You need to be able every day to be out there. Now, burnout is real, by the way. So if you're trying to post 10 times a day on social media, you're trying to run to 100 appointments, you're trying to do this, you're trying to do that, you will burn out fast. Trust me. I was there. It happened to me. And then I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So burnout is really real. So make sure that you set realistic expectations. You're consistent, but you're consistent with elements that align with you and that are moving you forward. And we're not messing around with leads that are not really interested. We want to focus on leads that align with us, that are listening to us, that want to work with us. And at the end of the day, they commit to us. I don't work with any client who's not willing to sign a buyer broker agreement or, of course, a listing agreement. Because at the end of the day, I give them so much of my time. And unfortunately, in real estate, we don't get paid until a transaction closes. So if you work with somebody for 6 months who's not committed to you, and then all of a sudden they find a home and they say, well, I want a 50% rebate. And you're like, what? And they go, well, that agent's offering that. I'm going to go work with them then. Even if you give the rebate, they may still go work with the other agent. You have no commitment. They're not committed. You haven't built the trust. You haven't built the community. You haven't built the desire to work with you. And so building that brand creates all of that. So I'm super excited for you guys. We are going to do another video. And in the next video, I'm going to go ahead and talk about leads and why you do not need hundreds or thousands of leads to have a successful business and how you can really work 15 hours a week, make a high 6-figure income, and enjoy life. That's what it's all about. It's not about running around to thousands of appointments, not to find any sales. At the end of the day, we are in the business of sales. If we don't close any real estate transactions, we don't make any money. So what's really important is finding the right leads that are not muddy, who are going to move forward with you. Have your brand to build the bridge to your sale. It makes it easier. It makes it more enjoyable. And you have alignment. You have people who enjoy being with you. Oh my gosh, you have people who listen to you. When you advise them, they listen versus someone always arguing with you that you don't know what you're talking about and they do when you're the expert. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you again for joining me, and I can't wait to see you on the next video.